Joining us now with stories trending around the world is OjyOkpe. Good morning, Oji.
Good morning, Dr. Vati. How are you this morning?
I'm good.
Good morning, Ayomi. You know I'm always happy to see you. Yes, thank you for checking in. You're always so sweet. Good morning, Rufai. How are you this morning?
Oji.
Fantastic.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending, focusing on reactions to the fierce public exchange between former President Olusegun Obasanjo and former Ekiti State Governor Ayodele Fayose that exposed the deep cracks in their once political father-son relationship. The drama began at Fayose's 65th birthday celebration, where Obasanjo publicly reflected on their long-running, turbulent relationship, describing Fayose as not the best of his political protégés, despite acknowledging his political accomplishments. Let's take a look.
Some people called me and said, "We hear you are going to Ayodele Fayose's birthday. Can't you remember he abused you?" I said, "Thank you for reminding me." In Yoruba land, we have a saying, "You are not the best of my political children. You are not. But you have made achievement that must not be ignored. You've asked for forgiveness, and as far as I'm concerned, you are forgiven. But the right lessons must be learned."
Well, Ayodele Fayose has fired back at Obasanjo with a blistering message, accusing his SY political godfather of making irresponsible comments at his age and sinking so low in the scathing response framed as a thank you note that was anything but grateful. Fayose went on to insult Obasanjo, suggesting that he belonged in a zoo and suffered from a heightened state of dementia. Fayose also demanded a refund of the money he paid Obasanjo to attend his party, which he claimed Obasanjo publicly acknowledged receiving. In a swift reply, Obasanjo thanked Fayose for the message, noting that it undisguisedly revealed who and what Fayose really is, unchanged and unchangeable. He also confirmed that the money had been returned unopened to the person who delivered it, stating he considered the matter closed. I'll take some reactions. This is from Olufemi, who wrote, "The latest outburst attributed to Mr. Ayodele Fayose is so profoundly intemperate, vulgar, and unbecoming of any man who has ever occupied public office that it inevitably raises grave concerns about his mental equilibrium. Nigeria has its fair share of political theatrics, but this is of an entirely different category. It reflects a mind either overwhelmed by bitterness or impaired by an absence of reflection and discipline. If Mr. Fayose is indeed the author of this disgraceful communication, then he owes the nation an explanation, not merely for his manners, but for his state of mind. His behavior is not only shameful, it is suggestive of a deeper psychological dislocation that should alarm all reasonable observers." Another ex-user wrote, "There is no reason why Baba Obasanjo should have made those utterances at Fayose's party. After he told the audience that Fayose and his wife had already begged him, he should have let it go. Baba must learn how to let go at his age, and Fayose shouldn't have invited him at all." Finally, Taiwo wrote, "Two wrongs never make a right. Even if OBJ made a mistake by airing Fayose's dirty linen in public, it is utterly unbecoming and frankly disgraceful for Fayose to reply by attacking him publicly. What happened to respect for elders, that globally recognized and unmatched pillar of Yoruba culture? Has Fayose forgotten that some lines are simply not crossed, no matter the disagreement? In fact, his outburst only ends up proving OBJ's point about the kind of person he is. A wayward child cannot hide his true nature." This ex-user is calling ex-governor a wayward child. But I mean, that exchange was quite the exchange. When I read the statement attributed to the ex-Ekiti State Governor, I was shocked. I thought it was fake news, but I don't know. Please, is it fake news, Dr. Amati?
Well, I mean, I'm shocked beyond belief because, you know, in Yoruba culture, respect is everything. They properly, you know, groomed Yoruba man, no matter the level of provocation from an elderly person. You know, seniority is very important. Even if the person is older than you by just 1 year. When we were in school, there were some people who were my seniors in secondary school. I don't even know how to call them by any other name other than senior this, senior that. And they take it in their stride because they know that, okay, because they were my senior for 1 or 2 years, he's senior for life. You know, Yorubas have a saying. They say, oh, people from certain parts of the country don't respect people who are older than them. They even say some of them in the morning, they just talk to their parents anyhow. That's how respect is so important to Yoruba people. So if you disrespect an older person in Yoruba land, it's like a taboo. It's part, you know, it's written into that concept of Omoluabi, which President Obasanjo was referring to. However, there will be some people who will look at the content of President Obasanjo's remarks and say, well, as an older person, whatever he said was not yet beyond the pale of, you know, commentary from a father figure to someone who is, you know, about the age of his sons and all of that. But for the former governor to now write back to the elder statesman to call him a mad person, to call him an animal, to call him an irresponsible person. If you look at it within the concept of Yoruba culture, that's really, really shocking. That's really shocking. And then to the extent of saying President Obasanjo should return the money that he gave him and all of that. That all of this even got into the media. It's so ugly. It's so untidy. So I can only say that that's someone from the same background. I'm shocked beyond their belief.
All right, we'll follow up on the story as always. Well, let's now highlight the shocking footage showing activist Martins Osher, popularly known as VeryDarkMan, and social media influencer Mr. Jollof engaged in a violent physical altercation aboard a United Nigeria Airlines flight from Asaba to Lagos at the Asaba International Airport. The altercation is believed to have been linked to an ongoing online disagreement between both influencers. Let's take a look at the video, which has since gone viral.
Give him wine. Give him wine. Give I enter plane, I say, I'm not going to see today, you go slap me. I go near and I punch me, boom. When I follow him, he started bite me.
All right. United Nigeria Airlines handed over both influencers to airport security after the incident. And Nigeria's Civil Aviation Authority has said that both men will face sanctions. Michael Achimugu, the agency's Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, called the altercation unacceptable behavior while emphasizing how their personal fight also endangered others in the vicinity. And I'll take this reaction, Rufai, before I come to you. This person wrote on X, Mr. Jollof and VDM fighting inside a plane before takeoff. At this point, some people need to understand that public spaces are not their living rooms. This is totally unacceptable. Grown adults turning an aircraft into a wrestling ring. If you can't control emotions for a 45-minute flight, maybe you shouldn't be flying at all. Respect the crew, respect the passengers, and respect yourselves. This has to stop, and truly it has to stop. We are seeing these sort of, activities going on our aircraft. Can you imagine if you were on the plane? But, VDM has, always been, he's considered the activist of our time now. He's been doing so well with, exposing immorality and always speaking up for the moral code. I don't know what he will say when he comes out of, I believe that they're still held up at this point. I don't know what they've released them. I don't know what he would say after this incident for his followers at this point.
See, when you don't set targets and timelines or set rules, things will repeat themselves. You see, when we're saying that Wasiu's matter should be dealt with properly, and the other lady's matter, what's her name, Comfort now, should be dealt with properly, and we made them celebrities. This is the kind of society it calls. It will cause a society where people will have altercations and they'll think they can take it into the plane. VDM and Mr. Jollof's matter spans a long time. They both abused each other. They both said things against each other. They both threatened each other. But seeing each other in the plane and having that fisticuff in the plane, endangering the lives and the safety of other people is totally wrong. You can have your squabbles, but not in the plane. They have both taken them to the security forces. They were released yesterday. They said the NCA is looking at it. We must see actions to be meted out. We must see sanctions. The Minister of Aviation too must wade into this. This must never happen again. We must show very strong and stern measures because this will keep happening. I am happy that both of them were immediately deplaned. So they didn't go on that United Airlines flight. Immediately once the fighting happened, they brought them down from the plane. Most importantly, we are waiting to see what Mr. Keyamo and his team will do on this.
Right.
But this is a sore point, and this must never happen again. And it is only sanctions that will make it not happen again.
Yes, sure. We are waiting for the report, but you saw the video. I believe VDM said that Mr. Jollof was the one who threw the first punch and beat him as well.
Report.
And, what was your eyewitness report?
So they say that. So they are threatening themselves online, and Mr. Jollof had threatened him that the next time he sees him, he will give him a slap. So when VDM got on the plane, he was saying, you said you will slap me when you see me. Here I am, slap me. So
he slapped.
And then so he was the one, Mr. Jollof was telling him, so both of them, irrespective of, and this is what, when we talk about social media misbehavior, now translating to real life, and then endangering the lives of the people on the plane, it's a security risk. What happened? It's a show of shame, like you mentioned. These are people that are meant to be advocates, that people say, oh, they speak up for the common man, and just engage in this show of shame. I hope that they both come out to apologize, by the way, but we're not, let them not make them ambassadors.
I didn't get the apology.
Oh, that's the apology of Mr. Jollof.
And
both of them explaining.
So
that's
both are okay, good. That's what we need.
But we don't want only apology. There must be consequences for action. And they should not make them ambassadors.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so it's good that they've apologized. I missed that actual video. I didn't get that. So that really was what we were expecting. Well, in another development, the FCT Police Command on Monday debunked reports circulating on social media alleging an attempted assassination on Naval Officer Lieutenant Ahmed Yarima in Abuja. The clarification follows another false publication on social media blogs claiming the officer was attacked during a stop-and-search operation at NNPC Junction in the Kabwa area of the Federal Capital Territory. Well, according to the police command on November 16th, a patrol team conducting a routine stop-and-search operation intercepted a Toyota Camry with a concealed number plate and fully tinted windows. The officers approached the vehicle and requested the occupant's identity, but the occupant refused to identify himself, made several calls, and wound up his tinted windows, declining to engage with them. Minutes later, 3 naval personnel arrived at the location and cordially identified the occupant as their colleague. After this confirmation, the police team allowed the vehicle to proceed without incident. These reports are coming just a week after FCT Minister Nyesom Wike had a public altercation with the naval lieutenant over disputed land in Abuja. In a related development, a retired General and Air Commodore, Abayomi Balogun, in a video that has now gone viral, expressed frustration over the destruction of his home in the Wuse 3 area of the Federal Capital Territory. The video showed the scale of destruction and rubble after the demolition. The retired general said that he was not informed about the demolition beforehand, but was told by the Development Control Agency that the exercise was carried out under instructions from the Minister of the FCT. Let's take a look.
Good evening, sir. We have seen the way these people destroy your garden. We are not happy. But what happened, sir?
What will I do? I was here in the morning and I saw them coming. They say they are from Development Control. And they started marking the place. I said, what for? They say they are demolishing. I said, how can you demolish? Without notification, without anything. They say they must demolish today. And I begged them, I said, please. I met the director, Mr. Galadima, who I used to know. And I said, please, give me 1 week. He said, no. I said, okay, just give me a day to move my properties out of there. He said, no, they will not allow me. They will just destroy everything. And before I know it, they brought the tractor and
they start leveling everywhere.
And as they were leveling, the area boys, the Babambola started stealing everything. So today, what was here yesterday is totally flattened by Development Control, who claimed that they were acting under authority of the minister.
Sorry, sir.
This is heartbreaking to see, Dr. Abati, as the retired general is someone who served Nigeria for 35 years. We're seeing this sort of demolition every time. It's constant in the FCT. We need more investigation on this particular story, but I'd like for you to tie in both stories. We're seeing that they're talking about Yerima all of a sudden after the altercation with the Minister of the FCT, and the Minister of the FCT is right now making the headlines over these demolitions.
Okay, very quick. It's straightforward. I mean, Officer A.M. Yerima became famous because of his altercation with the Minister of the Federal Republic. Earlier this week, we were told that there was an attempt on his life and that he managed to engage in what they call strategic maneuver and escape. The police have said that is not true. Now we're told that he was stopped by the police and he was driving a vehicle where the number plate was covered and he refused to cooperate. Naval officers came. We have also now been told that, this is also fake news. It will appear that, because of that confrontation with the minister, he's become a subject of interest for certain persons, either persons who create fake news or persons who are just, interested in embarrassing him. And I think that, that should not be the case. He was on duty. People have been saying you shouldn't carry out illegal orders and all of that. Well, the owner of that property, the man in possession of that property, under the law of real property, has the right to protect his property as long as he has the relevant papers. And so, you cannot say Yerima was carrying out illegal orders. After all, we were told that the Chief of Defense Staff even called him on that particular occasion. But it's not a matter that should become unduly melodramatic or that should constitute a threat to his life. There may be some other people trying to even make the minister look bad. Whereas in this particular case, the minister may be completely innocent. The altercation may have happened. Both parties involved may have moved on. So, but Nigerians, as President Trump pointed out, tries to create comedy out of every serious situation. He thinks that we're a country of skit makers. That's what Trump said the other day. However,
he's not a skit maker himself.
However,
content creator.
He's not a content creator.
As for the retired Air Commodore, the Minister of the FCT talked about the rule of law. Now, the rule of law means due process. It means fairness. It means justice. This Air Commodore is saying he didn't get any notice. Nobody, even told him what his offense was. It's a garden. Now, he said officials from Development Control just came there, and in a matter of hours, they have leveled the garden. Even if it was an illegal occupation of some space, due process should be followed. The report you mentioned that the directive was from the Minister of the FCT. again, in this particular case, the minister may be innocent.
Yes.
He may not have been the one that even gave the directive.
Yeah, the general said it himself.
Yeah, it's now convenient to just any little thing. You just say it's Wike who is behind it. And it's because of the way he himself has been too histrionic in his approach that he will get blamed for even things that he knows nothing about. But due process, rule of law must be followed.
Yes, but we cannot have an officer who has served the country for 35 years in this sort of situation.
I understand.
This
as an officer's daughter, you will insist on due process.
Especially, well, not only especially because of that. Yes, and it's unfair.
How can people's houses just be demolished?
Demolished, people's livelihoods.
There's a narrative that I'm seeing that is going around.
Yes.
And I saw it in my very dear sister's Onikpekwa Breakweight article that they are all quoting the law that, the minister has a right to inspect property. In the case of that property that Officer Yerima was at, the minister was there, the minister was not going to inspect. The FCD authorities had come to harass the contractor. They were going to demolish. So please, let them correct that narrative. They should stop quoting the law that he was going to inspect. We know, yes, he has right. He was going to demolish. Did you see bulldozer, but you don't see bulldozer?
So maybe he went to inspect with the aim to demolish.
Demolish. So no. He was going to demolish. He was not inspecting with the aim of demolition. Because the agitation there was stopping work so that they will be able to carry out a demolition.
Yes, you're right.
Let's get that right.
We saw
because people are changing the narrative. I don't like when people tell lies.
No, but even Wike himself said it.
So you say Onikepo?
No, hold on.
I'm not saying Onikepo Breakweight is lying.
Even Wike himself said it during the press conference that he heard that they were beating officials at the site. And that's why he went. That's the only reason he went to the site. Was because he heard that those people were beating government officials.
Yes.
So that he went to go and
demolish.
This is the question. So what did he go and do?
Is he now working for the Nigerian?
So what did Nigerian police? He went with his own personal security.
He went with his own personal security.
Nigerian police.
It's part of the level of lawlessness in the country. A minister going around with outriders.
He said it himself that he went to go and find out why they beat up government officials. Well, all right.
So it's the one that we call you from government official.
We'll take another story now. The controversy surrounding reports of a Christian genocide in Nigeria has taken a new dimension. Well, on Monday, the United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa scheduled a hearing for November 20th to investigate the killing of Christians in Nigeria. The congressional hearing, chaired by Representative Chris Smith, is set to feature 2 panels of witnesses, including senior U.S. State Department officials and Nigerian religious leaders, to review the scope of the reports and weigh potential policy responses, such as targeted sanctions. Well, the U.S. congressional hearing is a significant diplomatic development that could have serious implications for Nigeria-U.S. relations and foreign aid. Meanwhile, superstar Nicki Minaj is set to speak on Tuesday at the United Nations on the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. The development also follows Pope Leo XIV voicing concerns over religious persecution targeting Christians. On Friday, Christian leaders rallied on the steps of the U.S. Capitol, thanking Trump for giving a voice to Christian persecution in Nigeria. Well, in the same vein, a new video trending on social media shows an excerpt from a sermon by the Catholic Bishop of Nsukka, Bishop Godfrey Ona, speaking about how the suffering of Christians in Nigeria is comparable to the crucifixion of Christ and how Christian schools in Nigeria have been sabotaged by the federal government. Let's take a look.
Since after the takeover of schools, who has the correct statistics of the number of churches that have been burnt down in this country? Who knows how many Christians have been killed in this country because they are Christians? Some right inside the church. Some will tell you these are criminals. They are not just targeting Christians. Take it easy. How many of those who perpetrate these crimes have been arrested and prosecuted? How many of them are in jail? How many of them have faced the death penalty? The Catholic Church is against the death penalty. I'm talking about Nigerian law. And some Christians are being provoked legitimately to react. Anytime any of them reacts They are said to be taking the laws into their hands, but all those who trample the law with their feet trample upon the law. They kill, they rape, they maim, they sack farmers, they harvest crops of farmers and feed it to their cattle. And when you say no, why are you doing this? It is death. And when they do that, they record it and post it to government to see. If you ask them question, you are killed. If you chase them away and while running away they die, you'll be condemned to death.
All right, this was quite the message from the bishop. I mean, talking about even the schools that have been sabotaged. Meanwhile, in Kebbi State, the state governor, Mohammed Nasir Idris, has expressed strong outrage over the attack and kidnapping of 25 female students as the government girls' comprehensive school, MAGA, accusing unnamed security agencies of sabotaging efforts by failing to act on credible intelligence from the Department of State Services. The governor stated that the DSS had advised the state to convene a Security Council meeting and provide round-the-clock protection, a decision that was made but apparently not enforced. He lamented that heavily armed security men who had been deployed to the school spent time taking pictures with the students and conducting drills, but then abandoned their post just 30 minutes before the attackers struck. Well, the Department of State Services has recorded back-to-back victories, recapturing escaped terrorist mastermind Abdulaziz Obadaki, and now being suspected major arms supplier Musa Abubakar in separate operations. Obadaki, a top Ansaru terrorist commander who orchestrated the devastating August 7, 2010 mass shooting at a Deeper Life Bible Church near Okene, Kogi State, where 19 worshippers, including the pastor, were killed, had been on the run since escaping during the July 2022 Kuje Custodial Center jailbreak. The suspected terrorist, who also masterminded the February 2022 daylight bank robberies in Uromi, Edo State, had left several policemen and bank customers dead, with hundreds of millions of naira carted away, confessed to orchestrating the Kuje jailbreak itself after being transferred from Kaba Custodial Center in June 2022. After over 3 years of evading capture, DSS operatives finally recaptured the terrorist on Friday, November 14th. Meanwhile, the arrest comes barely 2 months after the secret police arraigned 5 suspects linked to the 2022 Owo Catholic Church massacre in Ondo State. Just days later, on November 12, 2025, DSS operatives struck again, arresting Musa Abubakar, a key arms dealer whose manufacturing workshop in Plateau State supplied high-caliber weapons and ammunition to armed groups terrorizing Plateau and neighboring northern states. Abubakar was caught red-handed with improvised explosive device components, chemicals, and manufacturing equipment following extensive surveillance and credible intelligence, a breakthrough that came 3 months after the DSS arraigned 9 high-profile suspects involved in the Plateau and Benue attacks, including Tima Majol, who has already pleaded guilty to illegal firearm possessions. I mean, Rufai, these are just real credible and commendable back-to-back victories. Well, while these victories are commendable, the question now is whether the momentum can be sustained and whether Nigeria's judicial system will match the DSS efficiency by ensuring swift prosecution and conviction of these arrested suspects. Meanwhile, in the same vein, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave a fiery speech directed at judicial officers nationwide at the 2025 All-Nigerian Judges Conference on Monday. In his address, the president declared that a compromised judiciary poses an existential threat to democracy, insisting that justice must never be for sale. Tinubu also warned judges not to succumb to corruption, stating that corruption anywhere in government is damaging, but corruption in the judiciary destroys it to the core. Let's take a look.
Let us be clear. No amount of reform can succeed if integrity is compromised. Justice must never be for sale. The bench must never become a sanctuary for compromise. Corruption in any form or any arm of government weakens the nation, but corruption in judiciary destroys it to the core. When justice is compromised, government loses its integrity and democracy loses its foundation.
President Tinubu's call for moral integrity in the judiciary sounds admirable in theory, Rufai. But the question remains, will judges who deliver questionable judgments face the consequences? Will judicial appointments prioritize integrity over political loyalty? And will the executive branch respect judicial independence even when court rulings go against government interests? So until we see, systemic or systematic reforms that address judicial corruption in Nigeria at its roots, the president's well-intentioned statement may very well be another unfulfilled promise, Rufai.
It's just rhetoric. Just rhetoric. If the president is ready, there are people that have proposals of judicial reform today that if it takes, in the next couple of years, the problem will be solved. It's just rhetoric. It's just talk at a judicial conference. I don't see a couple of years back from this time, mark today, then we'll keep talking about it. It's the same politicians that corrupted the judicial system. Let's call it spade a spade. So if they are talking now, like it doesn't favor them, it's just rhetoric. Secondly, as regards the point of Nicki Minaj, because I see there's an attempt to be able to mitigate Nicki Minaj and say, oh, she has no right to be able to sound off on Christian genocide and all of that. The truth is, the facts are there. We hear what Nicki Minaj has to say. But the facts of these killings are there. I've also seen people make the argument, others have been killed. Yeah, nobody has denied that Muslims have been killed. In fact, they have been killed en masse in genocidal proportions. But there's Christian genocide, and the earlier we accept this, and government trying to go and twist narrative will not work. Because it's there. The bishop was talking about burning of churches. In researching this matter, I don't talk without fact. Or did you know that there's something called cultural genocide? You don't even need to kill people. But the fact that you are burning religious places, trying to exterminate languages and all of that, is part of cultural genocide. So for those that are arguing, there's no Christian genocide, the burning of a lot of churches, is that not part of cultural genocide? So I'm asking the question. See, we all want the problem to be solved. And like I've always said, it's not a contest to pit Muslims against Christians and all of that. No. Because both Muslims, both Christians, they are all victims. How can we solve the problem? But the first part, and I don't like what this government has done, is that you not accepting you have a problem in itself is a problem. The attempt to go use government officials to do all sorts of propaganda is not the way forward. Mitigating the plights of people is not the way forward because we want to look good on the international scene. Let us accept there's a problem and how can we solve it? Look at the KB girls. There's a talk again of complicity. You remember President Bolaji Akemi told the story of how when they wanted to come rescue the Chibok girls, they got here, they said they wanted to gas the terrorists. The next day they saw the terrorists were wearing masks. So the investigation should be, let's ask, the security officials that were supposed to be there and safeguard the students, where are they? Dr. Abati, a lot of people were mocking Mrs. Jonathan when she was asking, Principal, where were you when they took them? There is God, though. But yes, ahead now, we are seeing that in the case of Chibok, there's an element of also complicity. Because people shake their responsibility. Then, Jonathan was the problem. We are all mocking Mrs. Jonathan when we said, there is God, oh, there is God, oh. But what that woman was crying about was that there's a level of complicity. So who are those complicits? And how can we get the problem solved? That's just it once and for all. And may God help us. Because this is 15 years counting. A child they gave birth to when all of this started is already getting ready for university or already in university. When is all of this going to stop?
Yeah. Can I just say the failing of the legislature is very loud, especially with the news you spoke about the U.S. Congress. This is what the Nigerian Senate ought to be leading.
They will
calling for people to come forward. Their silence is actually really loud.
Yes.
Aside from the Senate President, Senator Akpabio, saying over the weekend that the President's handling it, what has the Senate done? Look at their counterparts in the U.S. Should the U.S. be leading on this?
Yes,
Nigeria should take ownership of this.
We have religious leaders, like I said, on the U.S. Capitol.
They're asking them to come forward. They're even opening an inquiry and asking them to come forward. Why has the Nigerian Senate not opened an inquiry to at least even listen to the agitations of the people? And then if you're talking about Nicki Minaj, where are the Nigerian celebrities? They are keeping quiet as well.
I really liked Dr. Abati's comment earlier about Nicki Minaj. The fact that she has such a huge platform and she's able to speak, we should also have other people to speak about what they really believe in. Nicki Minaj should not be persecuted because she's speaking for what she really believes in. So that really is what it is. But I mean, this US policy, you said Tiwa Savage. Yeah, all the Tiwa Savages, all the Burna Boys, all of this is the time to speak as well, because we're seeing
fashion shows. There's nothing wrong with it.
We are at a very
platform too.
Right. We are. I like meeting Nicki Minaj. All right. But we're at a very, very critical time in our lives right now in Nigeria with these conversations about Christian genocide and the U.S. sanctions and the sanctions that may come, that might follow this whole conversation. But the Nigerian government, we need to continue to speak up and collaborate with these conversations. Now under a milestone, we remember the life and enduring legacy of Nigeria's founding father, Nnamdi Benjamin Azikiwe, affectionately known as Zik of Africa, who would have been 121 years old on November 16th. Azikiwe died in 1996, leaving behind a nation he helped birth and a Pan-African vision that still resonates today. Born in 1904, Azikiwe didn't just witness Nigeria's journey from colonial territory to independent nation. He was the architect of that transformation, the voice that dared to imagine African self-governance when such thoughts were considered radical. Zik of Africa paid his dues in the struggle for independence, sacrificing personal comfort to pursue education across America, returning home armed with degrees and determination, establishing the West African pilot newspaper that became the megaphone of the nationalist agitation. His pen was his weapon, his words were ammunition against colonial oppression, and his vision was crystal clear. Africans possessed the intellect, the capability, and the drive right to govern themselves. When independence finally came on October 1st, 1960, Azikiwe stood as Governor General, becoming the first African man to hold such office, a symbolic victory that announced to the world that the era of colonial subservience had ended. 3 years later, when Nigeria became a republic in 1963, he assumed the presidency, cementing his place as the father of the Nigerian nation. But Zik's contributions transcended political office. He founded the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, creating educational opportunities for generations. He championed Pan-Africanism, inspiring liberation movements across the continent, and he conducted himself with a dignity and intellectual rigor that commanded global respect.
Let us bind the nation's wound and let us heal the breaches of the past, so that in forging our nation, there shall emerge on this continent a hate-free, fear-free, and greed-free people who shall be in the vanguard of a world task force whose assignment is not only to revive the stature of man in Africa, but to restore the dignity of man in the world.
28 years after his death, may his soul continue to rest in peace. Nigerians must ask ourselves, are we really living the legacy that Zik had envisioned? Happy 121st birthday to the father of the nation. Continue to rest in peace. More on the milestones. We're celebrating the 74th birthday of Chief Wole Olanipekun. Olanipekun is a lawyer, former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, and a senior advocate of Nigeria. Olanipekun was called to the bar in 1976 after graduating from the Nigerian Law School. He has dedicated decades of his career to practicing law in Nigeria. And in a birthday message, his law firm, Wole Olanipekun & Co. marked the occasion, saying that Chief Olanipekun is a master of integrating discipline with compassion and creativity. To Chief Olanipekun, we at Arise News wish him a very happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Congratulations, really. I wish we had more time on what's trending today. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always. Well, that's all I have for you guys on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.